Wyndham. Welcome back to our podcast. This is the Wyndham Voyager, and my name is Natalie Jendrasco, and I'm the host and communications director for the Wyndham School District. This podcast invites the public in to hear directly from our leading experts in different areas in public education. I also wanted to mention that this podcast was created in collaboration with our digital media teacher. She will be in charge of recording and editing this podcast. Thank you so much for your help.
Welcome back, everyone. This is our first podcast for the 24-25 school year. We are so excited to welcome back a new staff member that is going to be joining us today. She is the new K-12 school counseling director. She has over 26 years of experience working in school counseling, and we are thrilled to have her as a part of the Wyndham School District. Welcome aboard, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't we get started with just introducing yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Colleen DesRuisseaux, and this is my first year here at Wyndham, and I'm very excited to be here. And I've spent the last 26 years at the Bow School District. I was a school counselor for 16 years, and then, I was a director for 16 years, and then a school counselor for 10 years prior to that, and really spent my whole career there.
That's awesome. And how has your transition been? I know that you started, was it July of?
Yes.
That's awesome that you got to come in a little bit before the school year. I always feel like that's nice to have a little bit of a buffer there.
Absolutely. It's so helpful to have a few weeks' time to get to know some staff that are here for year-long staff and get to know the ropes of a building before you have to start with all the students.
Right. Are you used to this size of a district? How big was Bow?
So we were a little smaller.
Okay.
Yeah, our high school was about 650 students on average in any given year, and district-wide, again, about the same size, about 1,800. So we averaged about 600 in each school.
Do you feel like you're transitioning well?
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. My role is a little bit different here, as I was director of school counseling at the high school level, and I definitely helped out at the middle and elementary levels, but I spent most of my time at the high school.
Right. That
so
makes
I'm
sense.
Definitely more involved in the other schools here.
Yeah. Have you been able to meet all of the school guidance counselors?
Yes, it's been very exciting. I've been able to go over to all the schools at least a few times already, and some schools 3 or 4 times, and I've been really enjoying meeting the staff and all of everything that is here for Wyndham. You guys have a great staff, just everywhere.
We really do. Everyone's so involved too, which I always find so fascinating. It's just like how deep the roots go.
Yes.
For our staff in Wyndham, it's really awesome to see.
There's a lot of people who live in town.
Yep.
Who grew up here. It's amazing.
Yep. Now, I feel like this could, go so many different ways. But what are your favorite aspects of school counseling?
That's a tough one. I believe one of the first things I just really enjoyed was getting to know students in a different way. My undergrad degree is in English education, and I student taught in a district at a level 4 district freshman year, and for a few months. And at the time, the dropout age was 16, and most of these boys were 15. Boys and girls were 15. And in this district, they were just counting the days until they turned 16.
Yeah.
So I realized I actually ended up having a lot more fun talking with them and trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their life. A lot of them at the time were going into farming, actually, and their family farms and such. And it was out west in the state. And it was really enjoyable for me to do that. So I ended up making a decision that I would continue my education and go for a master's in school counseling instead of being an educator.
Oh, okay. So I know you had mentioned that you had, I think your entire career really had been at one district. What made you make the transition over to Wyndham?
Well, I knew your old director really well through the state. We were on a bunch of committees together, and she had mentioned that she was retiring, and I really had never thought of it before in the sense of leaving Bow. Definitely not 5 or 10 years ago. I never would have thought that. But when she started talking about her job, she obviously loved Wyndham and loved being here, and grew up here, or not grew up, lived here her whole life. And but I know that she made such a good impression on me of what Wyndham was so important to her for. And I think that kind of made me think a little bit. And she does a lot more than I did in the position, in the sense of district-wide. And it was great to see that. So I was like, that really just started inspiring me a little bit. And I started asking her a little bit more about the job. And then I had said to her, I might apply for this. And she was really supportive of me. And I went through the process, and I was just so excited. I wasn't applying anywhere else. I wasn't looking to be anywhere else. But this came through, and I was just so excited to be able to get it and have a new challenge in my career at this
I was
point.
just going to say that. It's always nice when it just feels like the timing just makes sense. It just kind of works out, whether she was retiring, maybe you were looking for a little bit more of a challenge, and it was like that beautiful collide of the two worlds. So
absolutely.
Great.
I think that my kids, at the ages they were now too, they're mainly out of the house now too. So I think it makes a difference. Like I have the time and energy to put in.
That's right.
And I want to do more. So I'm excited to do that here.
Right. And you had kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but can you talk about your involvement at the state level?
So I am the president of the New Hampshire School Counselor Directors Association, which is similar to the New Hampshire School Counselor Association, which is for the counselors. So I help run that association, and we do quarterly meetings. We bring in different guest speakers and just have a lot of great information that the directors can then give to their counselors in their departments. I'm also part of NISCA, which is the Counselors Association, and I'm part of the School Counselor of the Year Award, or SCOTY for short. And we help run the committee who chooses the School Counselor of the Year. I oversee that. I'm also part of a Senate committee, and we work on the CTE level of high school education at the state level, connecting businesses to CTE and making sure that CTE is funded at the state level. So I'm a liaison to that organization in the legislature.
And how long have you been doing that? That seems like it's been quite a journey to get.
So for the New Hampshire School Counselor Association, I've been part of that for I think almost my whole career now, so I'd say probably 24 or 25 years. New Hampshire School Counselor Directors Association, I have been part of all the 16 years that I've been a director at Bow, and then I've been the president for two different terms, so I think I'm on like my 8th year now for that.
That's great.
And I kind of go back and forth. Someone else wants to jump in for a while, they'll do it, and then if no one else jumps up, I tend to jump in if no one else is doing it. And it's a great honor to do it, and it's a lot of work, but it's a great being able to get information to districts that just don't have as many things like they might have down here is really helpful for me. It makes me feel good to give to those communities and give them just resources that we have and share that information. So I think it's helping all of New Hampshire students.
I was just going to say that I always think when you hear like a statewide organization that really taps into just not those bigger districts that are able to get more access to things, but it's really making sure that all districts, all students have access to the appropriate types of content, materials, even like learning and study guides. I think that's always good to. It's great that you're so involved and you're able to kind of just keep bringing that back to Windham, because our students are obviously going to see the advantages of that as well.
Yes, absolutely. And then at the state level with the legislature, we're just working on making sure students have access to CTE programs in all the districts. That includes everything as simple as like making sure some districts that can't afford busing have that. And that the legislature will make sure that there's money set aside for that. And then making sure new programs can be added, and that again, like there's again access in all the towns for all of these students to get to them.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that kind of jumps me into my next question here. What do you hope to bring to Windham?
My goals for the first year is to honestly just listen as much as I can to as many people and hear what their hopes are for this position and for me. I would like to hear what people think, what needs to change, what they want to keep the same. I don't want to be changing everything. I think Windham obviously is a very well-oiled machine and does not need a lot of change, but I'm very tech oriented, and there are some things that I would love to do to make things just more run smoothly. And I think there's always something you can look at and add to give another advantage to students. One area that I'm passionate about and have been for about the last 5 years is the trades and apprenticeships. And I know that Windham, we're definitely very focused towards college, and that's huge, and we do have a very high population going to that. But I want to also just make sure that we're making sure we're bringing in different trades and or organizations and focusing on the careers as well, if possible, and just making kids aware of the different fields that are out there. And some students just aren't aware. We're planning on going to we got 30 tickets from a great organization in Salem that's sponsoring Windham High School, and we're going to see Mike Rowe in November
awesome.
from Dirty Jobs, and he's coming to NHTI to speak And then there's also a trades fair that day. So we're looking to have about 30 students who are either involved right now in the CTE program or have interest in trades that are seniors, and then maybe some juniors if there's open spots to take them up there in November. So I'm really excited about that. We have a few other trades fairs that are going to be happening over the next few months at different high schools, and we hope to bring students there and involve them in that, just to meet different businesses and see all the different, things that are available to them as an adult.
Awesome. That's really great information. I actually didn't even know that either. So students and parents, if you're listening to this podcast, definitely make sure that you stay tuned for more information on that, because that sounds like an awesome opportunity for students that are interested in, the trade pathway. So we kind of heard a little bit about you from a professional perspective, but what are some things that you like to do outside of work? What are some of your hobbies or interests?
I think that I spend a lot of time. Currently, my son plays junior hockey, so I do spend a lot of time on the weekends going to see him play locally. And that's a big thing. He'll be going off to college next year, and so this is what we do right now on our weekends. I spend a lot of time reading and walking with my dog and doing yoga for fun, and then just spending time with friends. I love going to concerts. The summer months are always big for concerts, which I love to do in this area. And then in the winter, we kind of hunker down a little bit more and do more reading and going to the movies and things like that.
That's awesome. Well, it's been really nice to meet you today. We're so excited to have you a part of this district.
Thank you.
If anyone has any questions, how can they get in contact with you?
They can reach out to the school counseling department at the high school, and Carly Kennedy, my assistant, will gladly set up a meeting anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's topic. We want your feedback. If you have any questions or are interested in different topics we discuss here on the Windham Voyager podcast, please email me at podcast@windhamsd.org. For the Windham Voyager, my name is Natalie DesRuisseaux, and we will see you next time. Thanks again for taking this voyage with me.